What do people call, like, fans of Elon? They've got a name.
They're stupid.
Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. More on them in a bit. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Brain Blaze. I, as always, am your revered host. Some might even say leader. You're welcome. You're definitely not in a cult. This is Conspiracy Theories That You Weren't Supposed to Believe. It's written by Kevin, who is becoming not just a guest author. I would say Kevin is a regular author. He's joined Danny in the basement eating the weird mushrooms. Anyway, let's jump into it, shall we? Did I say in the name of the video, Weird Conspiracy Theories You Weren't Supposed to Believe? Are we supposed to believe conspiracy theories, Kevin? I've been doing it wrong.
Okay, smartass. Let's see what this mystery's all about.
Conspiracy theories are usually so ridiculous that it seems that they have been crafted in the most ludicrous form possible. Why anyone would believe in something like a flat Earth or a moon landing that was faked is completely beyond me, except, of course, by sheer stupidity and gullibility. Yeah, but it's not just... This is the thing that really surprises me. I've said it before, it's not just stupid people who believe this. There's someone in my family who is smart. And they're like, no, we didn't land on the moon. And I'm like, mate, we did though, didn't we?
It's the basic truth of the human condition. Everybody lies. The only variable is about what.
It's not just, I don't know, it's like there's something wrong with that part of your brain that just makes you not understand rationality perfectly. It's not about being stupid, it's just there's a little bit broken. But not all conspiracies are created equal. Some are created by true believers who think they have uncovered something huge and want to get the word out, while others are created by misinformation peddlers who are looking for a way to profit off of people's ignorance. Yes, Mr. Jones, allegedly. Oh my god, the profit. Like, that Alex Jones court case is just blowing my face off. All of this is going to be deathly old news by the time you hear it. The fact that Alex Jones's lawyers accidentally sent opposing counsel basically the contents of his entire phone is just utterly, like, mind-blowing levels of alleged incompetence. So what's it called in law? Not malpractice. Is it malpractice? And look, I'm not saying they are this, but I'm saying, like, oh shit, is that a bit of a screw up allegedly, isn't it, maybe? You know, holy shit.
No, I am innocent.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Alex Jones profiting off people's ignorance, yes. But then there's the third type of conspiracy theory, the one that was never supposed to be believed. Oh, these are ones that people start as a joke. Where it's like, this is how conspiracy theories spread, and someone starts something so daft that people shouldn't possibly believe it. But they do, because they have that part of their brain broken, like I told you before.
That's it, mister. You just lost your brain privileges.
These theories are deliberately nonsensical and were created as jokes. They were so outlandish that no one could possibly believe such lunacy. While that arguably makes sense, it fails to take into account how unfathomably stupid people are. Yeah, it's... Like I say, it's not just the stupidity, it's just the broken bit of their brain. I know that's less catchy, but I do think that's what it is. And don't get me wrong, I do think typically, like, if you did a survey, more stupid people are going to believe in conspiracy theories than don't. But what I'm trying to say is not all people who believe in conspiracy theories are stupid. Is that making sense? Am I making sense? I'm not exactly genius myself, so let's carry on. While that arguably makes sense, it fails to take into account... I read that already. Just as I was talking about my big brain.
What are you, fucking stupid?
No matter how clearly satirical they may sound, there are people who genuinely believe every single conspiracy theory in this video. Birds aren't real. Oh no. I know this one because I heard an interview with this guy on the H3 podcast, and he's just like, no, I just started it. Of course it doesn't make sense. But people believe now that there's these little robots flying around that are birds. Bro, you took the meme too far. And now there's like merch and shit, which I love. This is like you've created a conspiracy theory. No one believes it, but you still can sell merch. I love that. That is capitalism big brain decision. This story begins on January the 21st, 2017 in Memphis, Tennessee. It was the day after Donald Trump's inauguration, and there was a nationwide women's march in protest of his many policies. 19-year-old college dropout Peter McIndoe happened to be in the area of the protests that day. He saw the massive group of protesters holding up their signs, but right next to them was a group of counter-protesters holding up signs supporting Trump. Seeing the two sets of signs in total opposition to one another, Peter got an idea. Wouldn't it be funny if someone was marching along with a group of protesters holding up a completely unrelated sign? He grabbed a poster off a wall, pulled out a marker, and wrote the first thing that came to his mind. Birds aren't real. He then joined in with the march. I mean, I know a bit about this guy because I listened to that interview with him, but he does seem like a bit of a legend. He was adamantly chanting the birds weren't real and he was commanding America to wake up. Naturally, people started coming up to him and asking what exactly he meant. Something he hadn't actually thought through. The entire conspiracy was improvised on the spot and would later expand. The general idea behind the conspiracy is that from 1959 through 1971, so specific, the United States government killed 12 billion birds, replacing them all with government surveillance drones. Are people going to notice if there's more birds? It's not like the skies are going to be like crowded with birds. No one's going to notice. Even if you doubled the amount of birds, if you tripled the amount of birds, are we really going to notice? Am I going to go and sit in the park and have my lunch and notice that there's 3 times as many pigeons, like trying to steal my shit and getting really leery about it? They get up on the bench with me and I'm like, go away. Go away. I'm trying to listen to podcasts and eat a sandwich. Go away. And then I go away because the pigeons win and I don't want to sit next to them. They're dirty rats with wings. These drones sit on power lines to recharge and they all over cars to coat them in a liquid tracking device. So in the JFK assassination, he was killed by government operatives because he didn't want to eradicate the birds. Videos of Peter at the march went viral and the movement started to take off. Most of the movement's followers were Zoomers that understood that it was all satire, but I sadly can't say that's true for everyone. It didn't help that Peter was all in on spreading his message. He purchased a stereotypical conspiracy theory van covering its information about how the government was using bird drones to spy on people. He also made numerous television appearances, never once breaking character and telling interviewers who assumed he was joking that their assertion was offensive. Of course, he should have expected to receive such a dismissive response from the bird media. Big birds trying to keep us down. Yeah, I think it was only a couple of months ago now, but I'm pretty sure in the interview he wasn't in character, which was more interesting than him being in character. That would be, I guess, a shorter interview. Naturally, vans, nationwide travel to spread the message, and purchasing billboards isn't free. So it was time to peddle some merch. Yes, peddle that merch, Peter. Peddle it! Peter and his friends began selling t-shirts with slogans like birds aren't real and pigeons are liars. Being a bird truther was a full-time job, so for the next 4 years, this would be Peter's only source of income. And I bet he made some good money off that shit. Like, it's one of those crazy things where, like, 10 years ago, you'd be like, no, f***ing way. And now it's like, yeah, of course. The guy behind Birds Aren't Real? Yeah, no. That's what's up. He's making more money than a lawyer. I don't know if that's true. It would surprise me if he wasn't. Lucky for him, the movement was reported as having hundreds of thousands of followers, so he probably did just fine. Oh boy, did he, Kevin. In 2021, Peter drove his van to San Francisco to lead a protest outside of Twitter's headquarters, demanding that they change their offensive bird logo. It didn't work. Finally, in 2022, he broke character in 2 separate interviews and admitted the entire thing was a joke. Is that the H3 interview that I knew? It probably is, isn't it? Oh, I'm in on the joke! However, this has in no way hampered the movement, which is still going strong. Lee's Field. The eastern coast of Asia is prone to being hit by tropical cyclones. Oh, no! I don't know why I said that sarcastically, obviously. Many people die. Hundreds of thousands of people have died from these, Simon. Why would you... this is the problem. I have no filter. I'll just be like, let's throw something out there. And normally I'd edit that out, but I'll leave it in just for the example of the not being a filter. Because I'll say something like that, and I'm like, oh, that's wildly offensive. And now I know, and I apologize for it. It comes out of my mouth before it goes through my brain. I have a big mouth and a small brain.
You have a poison in your mind, and the fact that you can't see it makes me so sad.
The coast is littered with observatories that report signal numbers of incoming tropical storms. If a signal number of 8 is reported, everything shuts down, schools close, and non-essential staff are to leave their workplaces and go home. Despite numerous powerful storms hitting the region, Hong Kong seemed to be repeatedly spared. Yeah, he's got some sort of special protection force. Ford. What are you talking about, Simon? Get your shit together. Force, like a force field. That's going to be the conspiracy. Obviously, it's not true, and it's going to have something to do with, I don't know, weather or geography or f***ing science. Could we give that a try, conspiracy theorists? Could we? Could we, instead of just being like, I read it on the internet, being like, what's the scientists say? What's those big brain scientists say? They've got lab coats. They've got pocket protectors.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
From 2005 to 2006 and again in 2010, not a single warning was issued for Hong Kong higher than the signal number 3. The alleged reason? Powerful Hong Kong businessman Li Ka-shing. That guy's name is actually Ka-shing, and he's a powerful businessman. His name is like 2 letters away from Ka-ching. Amazing. It was jokingly put forth that Lee had built a force field. Oh, such a brig. But how would I guess this? Oh, which could repel tropical cyclones away from Hong Kong. After all, rich people love money, so it's not like he could lose an entire day of productivity to something as silly as the weather. Though the force field was largely meant as a joke, slightly more serious variations of the theory still blame Lee as having control over the observatories. In 2006, Typhoon Prapiroon maybe hit Hong Kong with 200km/h winds powerful enough to completely uproot trees. It's too powerful for that force field, wasn't it? That certainly seems serious, but the observatory still only reported a signal level 3. However, this seems to be the only notable example of the warnings being incorrect. Maps showing the course of tropical cyclones in the region consistently show them abruptly changing course and taking suspicious paths to avoid Hong Kong, and a chart of all the storms in 2010 shows that not a single one made landfall in the region. Does that mean Lee really built a force field that protects Hong Kong? No, it's something to do with geography. Come on. Fuck. I mean, it's not like we're proposing he built a device that can control the weather, just one that can protect Hong Kong from it. But the answer's no, of course he didn't. It turns out there's a scientific reason that Hong Kong nice typo, Kevin, is less susceptible to tropical cyclones. The reason comes from the difference in temperature between the Pacific Ocean and the South China Sea, according to research from 2010, paid for by Li Ka-ching. Not really. And look, the science was right. What a surprise. It's got to do with science. Who would have known? I would have known. That's who I would have known. I could have told you that at the beginning, and I did. So it was all a harmless joke. Storms seemed to deliberately avoid Hong Kong, so everyone pretended that the most prominent businessman was somehow responsible for it because he wanted his employees to keep working. Seems like a good laugh, except for the problem that people genuinely believe this. In 2014, 4 years after the scientific rationale for the weather patterns was explained, a survey of college students showed that about 20% of them believed that Lee's field really existed. It was only a sample size of 100, but the fact that it wasn't just one kid in the back of the room who was a bit dim and thought it was real is a little bit more concerning. Yeah, it is. And also you're asking was that college students? Scroll back. College students. They're probably brighter than your average bear, and still 20% of them. You ask like someone down, I don't know, who's like, dumb. I'm trying to think of a politically correct way to say it. Just someone who's a bit stupid, all right? A bit of a dum-dum, a low IQ. They're going to be like, yeah, it's real. It's definitely real. It's real. I know it's real. Because temperature difference between seas. The sea's always cold. What are you talking about?
What are you, fucking stupid?
Now I interrupt today's video to bring you a message. A very important message. A message that could perhaps change your life. This video is sponsored by our friends at Squarespace. How could it change your life? Well, look. Maybe you're thinking about starting a new business, starting a new venture, something that's in your mind. You're like, oh, that'd be a good idea. I should do that. I bet millions of people around the world would read a blog about whatever your genius idea is. It's like, do you guys remember that Simpsons episode where Homer invents that widget device that solves all of his problems in his dreams? And he's like, I want to see what it is. What is it? Look, I don't know what your genius idea could be, but if it involves a website, the way to put it onto the internet and get it out there for the world to see is through Squarespace. And that's not just for blogs, but they also do, if you're a photographer, you can put your portfolio out there. If you have an idea, you want to sell something, they also do stores, which is incredible. And the best thing about Squarespace is how easy it is to do it. All you need to do is go to squarespace.com, few short questions. They're like, what do you want your site to do? What's it for? What do you want it? Blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, boom, here are some templates that you will almost certainly love. And you pick one of them, you swap out the images, you swap out the text, you're good to go. I say it'll take 10 minutes. It won't. It'll take the better part of an afternoon if you're a bit slow. And then you'll have a website up and running, even the domain name and stuff. They handle it all. It's not like web in the 1990s or even 10 years ago. It was way harder. And Squarespace just made all of that stuff very easy. Plus, there's loads of other features. You can do email campaigns, analytics, social integrations, all the good stuff you expect from Squarespace. Plus, support is incredible. They've got this huge database of things you can look up. And it's not one of those frustrating ones where it's like, oh, it's not there though. It's not there. Well, if it's not there, just get in touch with their 24/7 customer support. Amazing. Look, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/blaze to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. And now back to today's video. Bielefeld conspiracy, or Bielefeld conspiracy, or who cares? This conspiracy has existed in many forms using various locations, but the Bielefeld conspiracy is the internet's longest-running joke to originate in Germany. My fellow Americans will likely have heard of this, though in regards to Wyoming, rather than Bielefeld. How am I saying that right? Bielefeld. The Wyoming version first appeared on an episode of Garfield and Friends from 1989, and it poses the same three questions as all variations of this conspiracy. Do you know anyone from Wyoming? Have you ever been to Wyoming? Do you know anyone that's ever been to Wyoming? Well, no, and no, but I'm also not American. The answer to all of these questions is almost certainly no. There's nothing going down there. And if you claim to be able to say yes to any of them, that's just because you're part of the conspiracy. The Bielefeld conspiracy asked the same questions with regard to the German city, insisting that a shady group, only known as SIE, German for they, Psy. Oh god, I don't know. And always written in all caps, is committed to creating the illusion that the city exists. Explanations for why they would do this vary wildly, with the most ridiculous being that Bielefeld University is used to hide an alien spaceship. The German variation of this theory began on Usenet in 1994 when a computer scientist mentioned meeting someone at a party in Bielefeld the year before. Another user replied to something along the lines of, I don't believe it. Yeah. It's all the brilliant internet shit that will lead to something like this, and I love every second of it. Though the literal translation is, that can't be right. The literal implication is that the claim is impossible either because the person was lying or the city doesn't exist at all. There are several explanations for why this joke caught on so much and that it has persisted for so long when the other variants are far less popular. The most popular explanation is that there was a flame war between the Usenet admins and a bulletin board service based out of Bielefeld. Blofeld? I'm not sure how a mid-90s era feud between two groups of hyper-nerds would cause a joke to reach national prominence, but somehow it did. Because some jokes are just that good, Kevin. Sometimes someone comes up with an absolute cracker on the internet and it just becomes a part of popular culture because that person's such a comedic genius, or just had one stroke of brilliance, and that's it. It's such a popular theory that in 2012, after Angela Merkel attended a town hall meeting in Bielefeld, she publicly made a comment about having been there with the caveat, if it exists at all, later adding, I had the impression I was there. That's fucking brilliant. Do you think many people in that city vote for Angela Merkel? 2 years later, when the city celebrated its 800th anniversary, the celebration was held under the motto, that can't be right. Oh, I like that they embrace it, though. That's pretty good. Is anyone from Bielefeld? Bielefeld? Let me know in the comments below. I know a few people, like, this channel's got enough viewers that there's plenty of Germans watching. Anyone from Bielefeld? Bielefeld? Though it may seem like it was all, it doesn't matter how I pronounce it because it's not real.
How dare you?
Though it may seem like it was all fun and games, an extraordinary number of people somehow believed what was clearly a joke to be a real conspiracy. 10 years after the original conspiracy theory rose to prominence, the mayor's office was still receiving daily phone calls and emails from people who were trying to figure out whether or not the city existed. But if it didn't, who exactly did they think they were calling? Ancient Rome didn't exist. Now that, I mean, a German city, you can you can believe that didn't exist, maybe, possibly. I mean, if you're a bit dumb. But ancient Rome? Right. Ancient Rome was big. They got up to some shit. They left behind some evidence. Man, I want to start my own conspiracy theory. Like, something stupid. These are really good and funny. I couldn't come up with something so good.
Yes, very sad. Anyway, it got me thinking.
The final conspiracy today is the most recent, having begun in 2021. In fact, it's so new that we haven't even gotten to the punchline. But there will be a punchline. Right? What I'm about to tell you is so insane that I have to believe it was started as a joke, but we don't actually know yet, so it's possible that the woman who created this conspiracy is being deadly serious. I'll leave it to you to decide. I made a video on my other channel called Decoding the Unknown about QAnon and that crazy shit, and oh boy, like, that would fit in this video, just to illustrate how truly insane it is. It began on TikTok by a user named Millennial. Okay, so it's like a portmanteau of mum, but like American spelling, M-O-M, mom, and millennial, which is I saw a great channel name the other day. I was like, oh my God, Mysterious. And in my mind, it was like, oh, this is genius. I should start a channel about mysterious stories based entirely on the strength of this name. And then I write it down and it doesn't look so good. And then I try to say it out loud, like Mysterious. It actually sounds better now I'm saying it, but it also sounds stupid at the same time. I'm actually coming more around to it now. After this video, I'm going to start a new channel called Mysterious.
You're joking. Not another one? Oh, for God's sake, I can't stand this.
Not really, but if it's a good idea, let me know in the comments and I will make that. That's what I do. I start new channels. Her account reached around 100,000 followers with millions of likes on her videos. She was allegedly a qualified historian and anthropologist, claiming to have a bachelor's degree, a degree that made her more knowledgeable than thousands of years of stories. It's like, well done. You got a bachelor's degree. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I don't want to shit on everyone who's got a bachelor's degree. I have a bachelor's degree, but it's like, you're not qualified to talk about ancient Rome existing or not, are you? Christ. It was with this expertise that she boldly and definitely made the simple assertion that ancient Rome didn't exist. Think about it. Do you know anyone who lived in ancient Rome? This has got to be a joke, right? It's definitely a joke. Okay, that actually wasn't her argument. Oh, it was a Kevin joke. Her original argument was that Rome didn't exist and everything was Greek. In her theory, there is not a single primary source document or any written evidence that ancient Rome existed. I'm fairly sure that's not correct. Again, I don't know. I have a bachelor's degree that is not in history. It's not even in history. But I feel like I've made enough videos about Rome to be like, I'm pretty sure we talked about some evidence at some point or another.
Lies. Oh, lies!
Either that or we've just been making all that shit up for years. Any documents that do exist, and there are many to point to, are all written in Greek, she claims. That's a bold strategy, considering Greek and Latin don't even use the same fucking alphabet. But oh yeah, that's totally true. But it gets even crazier. There is no Roman architecture. All of that stuff you see is actually Greek. The Colosseum had some Corinthian columns, and Corinthian columns were ornate Greek columns. Clearly, that is checkmate if you have the bizarre worldview where everything in the world happens in a vacuum. It's like, yeah, the White House. Ancient Greece built that with its columns. Please. I'm trying to think of another house with columns, and the only other house I can think of with columns is that house from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's it. That's where it stops. Any famous building with columns, that's it. I've got the White House and the house from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Good job, Simon.
You is smart.
This would be like someone seeing the Sphinx and the Taj Mahal on the Las Vegas Strip and citing them as evidence that the United States never existed and was actually a part of the Middle East. Exactly. The amount of evidence that ancient Rome existed is absolutely fucking staggering, and she was quickly called out. However, she dug in and made a rebuttal video to all the people trying to debunk her absurd claims. In that rebuttal, she claimed that saying ancient Rome didn't exist was a metaphor. You see, she wasn't actually saying it didn't actually exist, just that it may as well not have existed because it was basically like Greece's version of Disneyland. They have their pretend currency, but they were basically Chuck E. Cheese tokens, not real money. Why Rome would need to issue pretend currency every few years with the face of the new pretend emperor on it if it was nothing more than an ancient amusement park is beyond me. It is made even more puzzling by the fact that in addition to their currency, ancient Rome is also famous for its Chuck E. Cheese tokens. It's just about as believable, isn't it, Kevin? These tokens may have been used at brothels rather than a children's arcade, but they still had both fake and real currency. That's needless layers of complexity, and there's no reason something designed for just entertainment would need multiple different forms of pretend currency. That is until the invention of Raid Shadow Legends and predatory microtransactions. Savage! This video is brought to you by Raid. No, it's not. It's not. None of my videos ever have been, but I've mentioned them so much that I really feel like I should be getting paid.
It's free real estate.
But let's hear this crazy person out. If ancient Rome was just a tiny theme park in the middle of the Greek Empire, how did the myth come to be? Are textbook companies and historians all in the pocket of big anthropology? According to her, the concept of ancient Rome was invented by the Spanish Inquisition. Think about it. How many sources allegedly proving the existence of ancient Rome exist that weren't written or translated by the Catholic Church? That last point is at least vaguely interesting despite being easily refuted. Ancient papyrus didn't hold up very well in the climate of the Roman Empire, so many of the primary source documents are recreations. And yes, it is somehow difficult, though not impossible, to find a source that couldn't at least be argued to have been created or translated by the church. But why is that? What possible reason could there be that so many of the ancient Roman texts would be reproduced by scholars from the Catholic Church? Wasn't the Catholic Church and religion like one of the main things of scholarship back in the day? Is that what we're getting to here? I'm sure it had nothing to do with the fact that it was the same empire that evolved into the Holy Roman Empire. Oh yeah. There you go. I understand that the church is powerful and was far more powerful during the time of the Inquisition, but seriously? Not even Elon Musk could manufacture 1,700 years worth of fake history and get all of mankind to accept it as the truth. No, but he would manage to get a fair few, like, Muskites. Muscovites? No, that's a person from, what's that country that I don't remember the name of? Doesn't matter. What do people call, like, fans of Elon? They've got a name.
They're stupid.
Right? And they're super like, they got a big hard one for Elon. And don't get me wrong, I think Elon's a legend. He's doing some really cool stuff. But oh my god, like, you just say one bad thing about him on the internet and the Elonites will come for you with their raging Elon hard-ons.
Huge, whopping penis, wow.
Unfortunately, we may never know whether this was real or if it was all a joke. Millennial appears to have been banned twice from TikTok for repeatedly defaming other users who tried to debunk her claims. While most people believe she was just trolling, it's not like she had any less evidence of ancient Rome never existing than people do of the Earth being flat. So only time will tell whether or not this insane conspiracy is something that will live on for decades to come. Yes! Thank you for watching! This is how conspiracy theories spread, and someone starts something so daft that people shouldn't possibly believe it. But they do, because they have that part of their brain broken, like I told you before.
That's it, mister. You just lost your brain privileges.